Hey guys, welcome back to part 2 of Rail Reading with PJ. We're gonna read more about the St. Lawrence, the Pocatchee Railway. So come on, let's go read. Okay, here we go, part 2 of the Pocatchee Railway. Oh yeah. More than just ore. Additional traffic in the form of tree-legged pulpwood logs was also moving over QCM. As a result of ITT Rainier opening a paper mill in Poughkeepsie in 1972, a double loop siding was built at MP 75 and named appropriately Forêt, which means forest in English. Each night, a pair of QCM units brought a string of empties from the mill and returned with the day's loadings. The mill was sold to Boise Cascade and then closed in 1981 as a result of the worldwide glut of newsprint during the recession at the time. The mill remained closed, and the spur to the mill was lifted in 1991 along the loops at Forêt. The bulkhead flats were too expensive to ship out and were scrapped locally in 1994. Ironically, the mill was reopened under its third owner in 1994, and construction of a major hydroelectric dam could again see logs moving by rail, as the area to be flooded north of MP 198 will be logged out first. The logging is expected to resume in November 1997 from a loader near Jig, where 45 car QCM attempted to sell some of its now surplus equipment, but the market for MLW locomotive, new or used, could be described as non-existent. With no upsurge forecast, QCM sold the 6 RSD-15s to the only bidder, a local scrap company. They were hauled to the sidings at MP4, where they succumbed to the torch in 1989. Next to go with the mechanical orphans, the 7 remaining GP9s. All, however, were sold, finding new homes on Quebec Iron and Titanium, an Essex terminal, and locomotive dealer HELM brokered the 4 other, finally ending up on the Goderich and Exeter. Last to leave the roster were 9 of the 10 DM&IR UP 630s, with only the 34 spared to serve as a standby at Mont Wright. Again, a date with the torch was the only option, with all cut up by 1993. This reduced the fleet to 32 units, a figure which still applies today. All of MLW Alco lineage. Not cool. Trains of today. Operations in 1997 have the concentrator running at near its current capacity, with 16 million tons being shipped. This requires the use of 6 train sets consisting of 3 units and 156 cars each. The normal running time is 26 hours for the 520-mile round trip, with loading at the concentrator taking just over an hour as the train creeps through the silo at 0.8 miles per hour. 3 crews are required for a cycle. The first crew takes the empties from Parcassi to Love at milepost 170, where they go off duty, and the second crew takes the train to the mine, loads, and then returns to Love. A third crew then takes the loaded train back to Parcassi. The original crew takes the next train for loading, and after arriving back at Love, again books off. After their rest is over, they then take the next loaded train back to the port. The entire cycle takes each crew about 36 hours, including rest periods, and they work 2 cycles per week with 48 hours off between each one. Upon arriving at Pocatsi, the power is run to the dumper shed, where it is then cut off and taken to shop facilities. Dumping an entire train takes about 2.5 hours if no problems are encountered. With the demise of local toll operations, the old problem of cold weather airflow returned, so the QCM developed its own air compressor cars, of which 6 are now in service. They utilize the robot car bodies and contain enough supplies of fuel to run 14 days between servicing. They are controlled using the original local toll equipment still carried by all units in the fleet. The cars are easily identified by their bright orange paint, although this has not prevented them from once being loaded at the mine. This car still carries a 6-inch layer of concentrate on its roof, and occasionally being run through the dumper by an inattentive operator. A system of reflectors on the car's corners, which is picked up by sensors at the silo and dumpers, has rectified this problem. The Mo-Right mixed. Since the demise of the log trains, there are 2 moves that break the all-unit or train nature of the traffic. The first is what the QCM calls the mixed, which carries all the supplies for the mine and concentrated facilities in Mo-Right, as well as the town of Fermont. What's cool in Fermont is they have a huge wall that protects the city or the town from the wind. And they have like apartments and a mall and shit inside this big huge ass wall. It's really cool in Fermont, way up in northern Quebec. There was actually a TV show in it. It kind of explored the way people lived there and shit. It was pretty good. Yeah, Fermont, Quebec. Included are common carrier trucks on piggyback flat cars, as well as fuel and plastic materials. With all the hazardous material, marshalling can take considerable time, and one of the Cartier's unique cambooses, converted baggage car cabooses, brings up the rear. Normal departure from Port-Cartier is 7 p.m. on Tuesdays, with the return leaving Mont-Right at 3 p.m. on Thursdays. The other move is on a once-a-week section crew train, which is operated to trade off the maintenance crews for their 8-day on, 6-day off shifts. The train leaves Port-Cartier with a single RS-18 and 2 coaches on Wednesdays at 7 p.m., when as far as Love, dropping crews along the way. Returning south from Love at 2:30 in the afternoon on Thursdays, the train picks up crews along its run, usually arriving back at the port at 8 p.m. Maintenance pays. Cartier is a firm believer in preventative maintenance, as any failures in the remote regions can cause untold grief. Being stuck on the side of a mountain or some shit, minus 40-degree weather, not fun. Not fun. The locomotives are fully serviced after each round trip, including wheel turning as required. Major inspections and oil filter change are done on a 45-day or 12,000-mile basis, whichever comes first, and monthly accumulations of over 9,000 miles are common. Overhauls are scheduled on a 600,000-mile interval and involve the unit being reduced to a bare frame and remanufactured with all the latest state-of-the-art specifications. Crew comforts are not overlooked either. And all units are equipped, listen to this guys, with refrigerators, hot plates, and even microwave ovens. Wow. That's like the Cadillac of locomotives right there. Wow. Currently, 3 or 4 units are rebuilt each year. Alcos with the future. All of the Kelsey CM636s are equipped with a package known as 251 Plus. This is a General Electric retrofit kit developed after GE purchased the plant and assets of the Montreal Locomotive Works. The kit includes solid steel cylinder liners, which replace the original honeycomb design and result in drastically reduced lube oil consumption. The pistons now have a flat top with a cast X or cross on the surface to aid in better combustion. Original MLW Alco designs have a Mexican hat shape to the top. All units receive PLC microprocessor control during the rebuild. PLC stands for Programmable Logistics Controller, the latest version of the standard industrial computer, the GE FANUC 9070 used on GE-8s. Keeping performance in mind, one of the greatest improvements was in the horsepower curve. As built, advancing the throttle in the lower positions produced only small increases in horsepower. From the 7th to 8th position produced a 1,000 horsepower increase. With the PLC control, QCM was able to increase the horsepower output of the lower throttle positions and produce an almost constant increase in output in each of the 8 positions. Instead of a sharply curved graph, there is now an almost straight rising line. This was accomplished by programming the desired engine RPMs for each throttle, setting into the computer. An added bonus was that the company was able to get almost the same horsepower output at lower engine speeds. As built, the units delivered 3,600 horsepower at 1,100 RPM. But now several units are rated at 3,525 horsepower at 1,050 RPM, with the balance of the fleet rated at 3,300 HP at 1,000 RPM. The lower engine speed adds up to better fuel economy, as well as less stress on the engine. The PLC also drives a much improved wheel slip system, which allows for wheel creep. The system uses motor commutator speed rather than axle speed as a far more sensitive indicator of wheel slip. For all practical purposes, the rebuilt units are dash-8 alcos. The brake system on all rebuilt units has been modified as well. The QCM makes good use of dynamic brakes in controlling its trains. But with only 3 units on heavy downgrades, train brakes are used in addition to control speed. With the slack bunched in dynamic braking, an undesired emergency brake application could quickly stretch the slack in a train and result in broken in twos. When asked about this problem, the QCM road foreman of engines simply replied, "It doesn't happen anymore. All the rebuilt units receive modifications to the brake valve so that a precise amount of air is reduced each time and their minimum reduction is made. Under the old system, a minimum reduction is made. Under the old system, a minimum reduction or preliminary quick service 6 to 8 psi is reduced from the brake pipe. QCM felt that this variance was a factor in the undesired emergency application problem, so they made internal adjustments that allow exactly 6 psi to be reduced every time. QCM's ore cars were also equipped with DB60 brake valves, and the trains have a very tight brake pipe with very little, if any, leakage, which would also contribute to the problem. This is a testament to the QCM people. Unlike most railroads, they recognized their problem and attacked it head on to eliminate it. Equal attention is paid to the almost 1,000 cars in the ore car fleet. During its early years, the QCM began a program where a block of 20 cars was removed from the head end of a train set and cycled through the shop. All components were checked and replaced if close to wear limits, and wheels were reprofiled as well. The QCM uses a wide flange multiple wear wheel which can be reprofiled up to 4 times before being condemned. A block of 20 freshly serviced cars is then added to the rear of the train set, resulting in each car being completely serviced on a cycle similar to the locomotives, or about 45 days or 13,000 miles. The effect of this maintenance is easily seen, as flat wheels are rare and bad order setouts even rarer. The car shop in Pakatsi is in the same building as the diesel shop and is equipped for anything, even including heavy wreck rebuilds. The QCM is also developing a system to detect derailed cars, which would warn the crew if a car experienced any unusual bouncing, enabling the crew to stop before major damage can occur. The Kelsey is an isolated railroad in an even more isolated territory, and they maintain everything to the highest standards. Cutting corners is not in their vocabulary, and it would only cost more in the long run. It is often said that the best way to predict the future is to create it, and this is no more evident than in the way they conduct their operations and treat their people. QCM doesn't sit back and wait for something to happen. They make an innovative and make things happen. A number of patents have resulted from their efforts. In many cases, the isolation has been a plus. Nice. The Kelsey Air Force. The remoteness of the line makes road access for maintenance almost impossible, especially in the winter. So the company relies on a fleet of high rail equipped trucks for its section and signals crew. In addition, all sidings are equipped with windsucks, to facilitate helicopter landings, and many also have storage for drums of jet fuel for refueling. The QCM contracts two helicopters for its use in remote crew changes, as well as ferry and maintenance crews quickly to trouble spots. It is easy to spot a helicopter carrying QCM personnel, as their contract requires them to closely follow the right of way as a hedge against an emergency landing stranding a crew in the bush, especially important in the middle of winter. Scenery, accessible and otherwise. The Quebec Cartier Railway passes through some mighty spectacular scenery. And while this term is often used, how else can you describe a waterfall cascading down a mountain, passing under a trestle, soaking passing trains with spray? The railway follows the Rivière Rocher west through a long canyon, which includes McDonald Falls, near the north portal of Tunnel 1. This portion of the railway is within the boundaries of a Quebec provincial nature reserve, and the Park Road offers access to the southern end. The Park Road is a 1.5 2 lane dirt or rock surface, which is at best can be described as rough. It is only open from late May to the first snowfall in autumn. It is possible to drive as far as milepost 126 near Item Siding, as a further trail up to milepost 150 exists, but is suitable for only high clearance four-wheel drive or tracked vehicles. This is the most scenic portion of the route, and prime photo locations are only limited by the willingness to do some hiking and climbing. On the north end, Quebec Highway 389 gives some access between milepost 230 to Mont-Wright. This highway is a 400-mile drive from Bécamo and is part paved, part gravel surface, opened in 1987. The scenery on the north end consists of rolling tundra with stunted spruce trees and innumerable small lakes and bogs which remain frozen, often well into July. There is no public access to the mine or the port facilities and railroad shops. Palcatsi is almost 400 miles east of Quebec City via Highway 138 on the north shore of the St. Lawrence River. There is no scheduled airline service to Palcatsi, but Sept-Îles, 40 miles further east, has an airport served by several regional carriers. Rental cars are also available in Sept-Îles, along with a number of motels. There is only one motel in Palcatsi, located on Highway 138. For the north end, regional airline service is available to Wabush, Labrador, which is 30 miles east of Fermont, Quebec, as well as scheduled rail passenger service on the Quebec North Shore and Labrador Railway. A working knowledge of French, the official language of Quebec, is a great asset, but a number of people in the area still speak English. Radio traffic is a different story, as once you get east of Montreal, all conversations overhead on a scanner will be in French. Each morning, a radio lineup is issued on the main subway channel, 160.74 MHz at 0700 to assist crews in planning work. Cartier marked its 37th year of service in 1997, and the future appears bright as the company is expected to be operating at near capacity for the foreseeable future. The well-maintained MLW Alco fleet will operate well into the next century. The cost of replacing them cannot generate a return on investment great enough to justify the expense. The result is the fleet surviving intact, the last in North America, witnessed by more mosquitoes and moose than people. Nice. And here are some pictures. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Have a good day. Now, see you in the next one.